The brain named itself. Hello, and here's some shower thoughts. We were born against our will and usually die against our will. You can be underweight, you can be overweight, but you can't be weight. There was a time when your mom or your dad picked you up, put you down, and never picked you up ever again. Some men will receive their first flowers on their funeral. The old you is your younger self. There are lockers in the police locker room to prevent theft. A lot of Google's revenue comes from people being too lazy to type .com after their search. In most printers, the piece of paper at the bottom of the stack never gets used. During a nuclear explosion, there is a certain distance where all supermarket frozen pizzas are cooked to perfection. Pavlov probably thought about feeding his dogs every time he heard a bell. Elephants would be a lot more scary if they were carnivores. Hellos, and here's some shower thoughts. At some point, the internet might become older than all people alive. The number of people older than you can only decrease. The number of people younger than you can only increase. Before trains were invented, every person experiencing speed above 56 miles per hour was falling to their death. Normally, the floor stops gravity from killing us, but if we get too far away from the floor, gravity will use the floor to kill us. Team jerseys are basically cosplay. You have opened your eyes only one time more than you've closed them. The asteroid that killed the dinosaurs has the highest amount of birds killed in one stone. We choose our careers when we're worst informed about what the career is like. Elon Musk has twice as many dollars as humans have brain cells, meaning that he literally has twice as much money as he has sense. The sentence "don't objectify women" has women as the object of the sentence. Hello, and here's some shower thoughts. If a white guy was adopted and raised in China and thus spoke English with a Chinese accent, strangers might have assumed he was being racist and mean. Lemons are actually a crossbreed of sour oranges and citrons, so life doesn't actually give you lemons, we made lemons ourselves. Gummy worms have more bones than actual worms. It makes sense that the target audience of fidget spinners lost interest in them so quickly. If you find a $100 note on the ground and pick it up in 1 second, in that 1 second, you were making $360,000 an hour. Lamps in video games use real electricity. Coffee makes you energetic, but coffee shops are chill. Alcohol is a depressant, but bars and clubs make you energetic. The night before a day off is more satisfying than the actual day off. The internet almost killed the postal service, and then made it more needed than ever with online shopping. Thermometers are just speedometers for atoms. Hellos, and here's some shower thoughts. On a cosmic scale, pearls are infinitely more rare than diamonds because pearls require life to be created. Being an air conditioner repairman must be really frustrating. You spend your day working in hot buildings, but when it's finally cool, you have to leave. Running from cops is the ultimate double or nothing. The tallest person in the world has been the same height as almost every other person in the world at some point. Your future self is talking trash about you. At age 60, Snoop Dogg will be 420 years old in dog years. If concrete and glass is made of sand, are skyscrapers just really tall sandcastles? The average car in space is nicer than the average car on Earth. If you were the first person to win the award for breaking 2 records, you'd win the award for breaking 3 records, and then 4, and then 5, and all the way to infinity. You cannot move your upper teeth. Hellos everyone, here's some shower thoughts. The average times a person dies is slightly over 1. Milk taken from cows at night makes you sleepier than milk taken from cows at day. Know How I Got Rich books start with the author reading How I Got Rich books. There is a probability that in the future, somebody will use your death as an excuse to flake out on a social event. Any bookmark that costs more than $1 is a luxury because you can just use a dollar note as a bookmark. Bruce Wayne's parents being murdered might be one of the best things that happened to Gotham. Any day in the hospital, you can find a person with their best, worst, first or last day in their life. If an astronaut dies on a planet with no life, the planet would have witnessed death of life before the creation of life. The defining feature of a submarine is not that it can go underwater, but that it can emerge from underwater. Expensive paintings are basically trading cards for rich people. Hellos, and here's some shower thoughts. Genghis Khan's dad had more descendants than Genghis Khan. Maybe superheroes wear capes to hide the zipper on the back of their onesies. If every man on Earth disappeared, the human race would still continue living due to sperm banks. The man who invented the internet is now 83, but if you saw him on the street, you wouldn't think he's adept at using the internet. Language travels at the speed of sound, while sign language travels at the speed of light. There's a probability that if you throw a rock into the bottom of a lake, you might be the last person to touch that rock until the end of time. Airline passengers would probably pay more for priority deboarding than priority boarding. If Google Earth gets archived today, then people in 100 years could walk around history. Since The Matrix was released, the way out of the Matrix, payphones, have become more and more rare. Cutting off Mike Wazowski's legs would be the same thing as cutting off his head. Hellos, and here's some shower thoughts. 200 years ago, if you had music playing while you're cooking dinner, you would be extremely rich. If humans were to prove that the universe is a simulation, then we would be the artificial intelligence. Some people drink more before age 21 than after. If a sloth were to clap, he would always seem sarcastic. 200 years ago, people would never have guessed that people would communicate by tapping on glass. Shakespeare actually was the result of billions of monkeys trying to write stuff. The larger a download bottom is, the less safe it seems. The rich used to pay the poor to entertain them, but now the poor pay the rich to entertain them. The job of future historians will be to sort out information rather than finding information. Given how many times your character dies in a video game, in most timelines, the bad guy wins. There is a waterfall of poo hidden somewhere in every skyscraper. Hellos, and here's some shower thoughts. If you see Google in a movie or show, you think nothing of it. But if you see Bing, you instantly know its product placement. If a company celebrates 365 days accident-free, they're celebrating the anniversary of an accident. At some point in life, the question how high can you count changes from a matter of knowledge to a matter of will. The amount of guys who sit while they pee must have skyrocketed since the invention of smartphones. Nighttime is the natural state of the universe. Daytime is an exception caused due to a white-hot radiating ball of flame. Based on a true story, movies are all part of the same cinematic universe. Signing contracts with blood actually makes sense because of DNA tests. The movie Free Willy uses a captive orca for a movie about freeing a captive orca. The more mosquitoes love you, the more you hate mosquitoes. We are closer to the year 2070 than the year 1970. Hellos, and here's some shower thoughts. The more bad guys a hero is facing in a movie, the more likely the hero is to be fine. Dogs hear us talk all day, but if they bark for more than around a minute, we tell them to stop. Someone must have smoked a lot of random stuff before discovering weed. The CEO of Starbucks is one of the most prolific drug dealers of all time. A blind person has less risk of walking into a glass door than someone with eyesight. If you have a bachelor's degree in some sort of science, you have the same education as Bill Nye, thus making you a science guy. Waterboarding at Guantanamo Bay sounds fun if you don't know what either of those are. Humans can direct blood flow with only the power of their minds. When you can't sleep because you're thinking about something, it's like the computer not shutting down because a program is running. People who run marathons are basically rubbing it in the face of Pheidippides, who died running the first marathon. You see more suns at night than day. Hellos, and here's some shower thoughts. Future generations won't know that cars used to go vroom. When you're under clouds, you're technically underwater. An early bus is usually worse than a late bus. Millions of people wake up at the exact same second due to their alarm clock being on their phone. All men at the bar, regardless if they're gay or straight, hope that other handsome men at the bar are gay. When you feel stupid, it's usually because you got smarter. Mike Wazowski can't be choked. There is a certain size where a cup stops being a cup and becomes a bucket instead. Hiding drugs on a dog might lower the risk of getting caught by drug sniffer dogs, because the police might assume the sniffer dog is just excited to see another dog. Children think adults are more free, and adults think children are more free. Military grade makes something seem very high quality unless it's food. There are more people eating sharks than sharks eating people. Hellos, and here's some shower thoughts. If someone would tell you to count every number in existence, then you would never even reach one. Sleep is one of the only things you get better at the less you remember doing it. A single man cannot have a box of tissues in his room without it looking suspicious. There's probably a tree growing right now that will be used for your coffin. Any stairway could be a stairway to heaven if you're clumsy enough. In Truth or Dare is the scary option as a child, and truth is the scary option as an adult. The best item to protect yourself from a Bigfoot attack is probably a camera. If in the future we start eating synthetic meat, People will probably look at us like monsters for eating meat from animals. Children are trained for a world that is 1 generation out of date. A piece of paper doesn't actually have 2 sides, it has 6.